The number one thing people get wrong about productivity and time management is that it's not just about doing more stuff. It's about being more effective with everything that you do. If you're someone that always gets overwhelmed with all of the different tasks you have on your plate, never feel like you have enough time to actually get the things that you need to done, the key is to learn how to work smarter. Now, this definitely took me a bit of time to learn and ramp into over the past few years, because when I first graduated and I was a wee 22-year-old working her first corporate job, that was literally the only thing I could do every single weekday. I would get up, roll onto the computer, work, and then make dinner, watch TV, go to bed. And I felt like I had no time to do anything else. Now, my life looks completely different. While I still work my 9-to-5 job, I do my YouTube, I work on my blog, I'm a paid creator for Lemonade. I started my own girls community here where I plan monthly events. I make time for socializing with my friends on the weekdays, as well as hanging out with my partner and being a dog mom and, still focusing on all of the other things it means to be human outside of work. So today I'm going to share with you my 6 tips to working smarter, not harder, so that you can be the most effective in all of your actions and make time for everything that matters. For each one of these tips, I'm going to lay it out super straightforward. Okay. It's going to be the what, why, how with examples and to-dos. To-dos, the most important things that you need to take away from this video so that you can actually action. Wow, you can actually action. You can actually take actionable steps to implementing these into your life. With that being said, let's dive on in. The first thing you need to know is the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. And I have a soft spot for this in my heart because it is an econ principle and I am an econ major. So let me give you a little econ lesson, okay? Essentially, what the Pareto principle states is 80% of outcomes typically come from 20% of inputs. Now, examples of this, 80% of a company's revenue is generated by 20% of its customers. You might typically wear 20% of your wardrobe 80% of the time, etc. How that actually applies to effectiveness and working smarter is that 20% of what you're doing on a day-to-day basis is leading to 80% of your results. If you want to supercharge your results, your movement towards your goals, you need to start capitalizing on that 20% that is making you most effective towards your goals. So, how are you actually going to implement this into your life? Let's talk about your to-dos, and I'm also going to give you an example. I want you to take some time and think through these 3 questions. Number 1, what 20% of sources are driving 80% of your results and outcomes? Number 2, what 20% of outcomes are leading to 80% of your undesired results and unhappiness? Now, if you're finding it a little bit hard to actually answer those questions, ask yourself this 3rd question, which is, if you could physically only do 2 hours of work per day, what would you do? And your answer to that question should tell you what 20% of your actions are driving 80% of results. You will identify what you need to focus on and what you need to start minimizing and eliminating in some of the work that you're doing. Let me give you a personal example of this. So over the course of the panini, I gained a bit of weight, and that wasn't something I was super happy with, so I wanted to lose it. And at first I was like, you know what? I'm just going to up my workout game because that's what worked for me in college. But here's the thing. You know what was actually causing 80% of my weight gain? It wasn't really because I was just not working out as much. That was a factor. But it was also the fact that my diet completely changed. I went from eating a pretty balanced, everything in moderation diet to eating takeout and junk food almost every single day. Like, there was one night my boyfriend and I ordered Domino's twice, like 2 pizzas at 8 p.m. and 2 pizzas at 11 p.m. because we were so worried we were going to get hungry at 1 a.m. And with the goal of losing weight, like, do you know how long it takes to burn off 2 pizzas? That's like 3 to 5 hours of running, and I do not run. And this isn't me spewing diet culture BS, okay? I love myself pizza. I still eat pizza. I love myself a sweet treat. But in order for me to achieve my goals, I need to start doing all of that in moderation. So by simply reducing the amount of takeout and junk food I was eating, I was able to shed the pounds so much faster than if I were to try and exercise it all away. So take some time, look at everything that you're doing on a day-to-day basis, and really ask yourself, what is the 20% of things that you actually need to be doing to get to your goals. Focus on those, eliminate the 80%. And I swear time will free itself up so fast. Tip number 2 is to automate everything. And what I actually mean by this is you need to streamline and optimize repetitive and time-consuming tasks because that will free up your time and energy for higher value activities. There's actually this thinking paradigm of System 1 and System 2. It's by this behavioral economist, Daniel Kahneman. And the way he describes it is System 1 is fast, automatic, and operates unconsciously. So think about any time that you've commuted to work or driven on a familiar road multiple times. In that situation, it's super easy to zone out and you probably are daydreaming, thinking about other things while you're driving. That's when your brain goes into System 1 because it's automatic, it's a habit. Now, System 2 is more analytical and deliberate. So this is used for complex tasks, solving problems, etc. So an example of this is something like, weighing the pros and cons of a major life decision. Okay, why did I actually tell you about this? Because the reason it relates to automation is automation will help you remove all of those little decisions that you need to make on a day-to-day basis into System 1, where it's made automatically. And it will decrease mental fatigue for System 2 so that you can actually use System 2 to do your best work. Do not use your System 2 to do tasks that you can automate. Automating will help you reduce all of the little decisions you have to make on a day-to-day basis, and it will lead to a way more efficient use of your resources and your time. Okay. So how you're actually going to implement this, you are going to create habits and systems for every single thing that you're going to repeat. Self-care, workouts, what you eat, the type of work that you do, etc. 3 steps you're actually going to use to start this. 1, identify the top 3 things that you do on a daily basis that drive your results. You should have already had that list if you did tip number 1. Then for each task, you're going to write down a step-by-step process to complete that task efficiently. Then you're going to see where you can actually automate the task. And that is usually done through process, templates, or tools. For example, one of my goals is to consistently work out. My process is 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I'm going to work out at my home gym and lift weights. Now, I would get very, very specific about every single workout that I'm going to do. Something that's helped me a lot is actually this tool called Strong. Let me show y'all. So here is the Strong app. I think I discovered this maybe 4 years ago when I first started lifting. I have every single one of my workouts in a template. And in this template, if I click start workout, it will tell me the number of pounds I need to lift per set and how many reps and sets I need to do for a particular movement. And because I use this, I no longer have to think about planning my workout when I get there. Use tools to help you capture parts of your process to automate things. The easier you make things for yourself, the less resistance you'll face when actually doing the things that you need to do. And you'll do it more effectively. There are also so many other little things that you can automate, like bill payments. You could do subscribe and save on Amazon. We've started to do that for some of our toiletries and groceries. You could outline the exact meals and meal prep. Lots and lots of things that you can automate in your day-to-day to help you free up your mental space to work on what's most important towards your goals. So automate, automate, automate. Okay, in the name of automation, that actually brings me to number 3, which is use AI. ChatGPT, free. AI can help you with so many tasks like drafting emails, brainstorming ideas, organizing your meal plan, creating a workout schedule for you. Like there's so many things AI can do. And if you're not on the AI train, like what are you doing? Get your ass on here. I use ChatGPT so much because it takes deep thinking System 2 tasks that I would be doing and brings it to System 1. For example, when I got my very first reach out from a brand that wanted me to, create content for them for a free product, I wanted to write back to them and be like, hi, I don't want to do this for free. Now, since this was my very first time saying something like that, I would have spent so long trying to draft the perfect, nice, and polite way of asking for money, which can often be awkward. But instead, I was like, ChatGPT, I received this email. I want to say I would love to partner with you, but I I want money. And then in seconds, ChatGPT wrote me a nice little template that I still use whenever I get similar reach outs. So in this how section, I'm just going to give you a list of things that you can actually use it for. You can ask it to draft hard emails, create reports, meeting summaries. It can tell you how to do a process better. So for some of the automation that you're going to do in tip number 2, you can ask it to do that for you. You can ask it to create a workout routine for you. Whenever I work in Excel and I don't know how to do something, I will literally ask it, this is what I want to do in Excel. Tell me step by step how to do it. Easy. Use AI. Play around with it, get good at it, get good at prompting it. There are so many online courses or videos you can watch to learn how to do that and get better results. Learn AI and use AI tools because you have those at your disposal a lot of the times for free. So why are you not using them? Yeah. Tip number 4 is to batch tasks. And what this is grouping similar tasks together and completing them in one dedicated time block versus spreading them out over the course of a day or a week, etc. Now, why this is important is because it reduces context switching, and that will help you minimize the time and energy loss shifting between tasks. Batching helps a lot with consistency as well because you are maintaining the momentum for doing that one type of task. Now, how you're actually going to implement this in the most effective way possible is you need to start paying very, very close attention to what types of tasks are the same for you and when you feel like your brain is context switching. So for example, I personally like to have all my meetings back to back to back to back in the morning because I feel like it's context switching to do a meeting, have a 30-minute break to do work time where I can't actually get into flow and then have another meeting. And you can take this to the very granular level as well. And I'm giving a work example here. Say I will have to pull data and organize it for 10 customer accounts. I will pull the data for each one of them. Then I will clean the data for each one of them. And then I will create the pivot table. And then I will do the analysis. Because if I do it like that, it becomes very, very easy to do the same thing over and over again versus saying, oh, what did I do when I did the data pull for the last one? What did I do when I did the pivot table for the last one? No, it's like fresh in my brain. I don't have to context switch. Another great example of this in my personal life is meal prepping. Like that is a huge batching activity that you can do. That takes away so much decision time. Every single Sunday, we will make a huge batch of meat, veggies, and rice that we can eat for the next 3 days. And we don't have to think about it after work. And that frees up so much time. So the next tip is about energy management. A lot of us think that we struggle with time management when in reality, it's energy management. Like, do you really not have enough hours in the day to work on your side hustle? Or do you just not want to do it after work because you had a really long day? And understandably, you rather just kick your feet up and watch TV. Because that was me. That was 100% me. I did not understand anything about energy management. All energy management is just aligning your most important tasks of the day to when you have the most energy and are ready to focus on them. This will optimize the F out of your productivity, okay? Because you will be doing your hardest tasks when you have the most energy, when you have the most focus, and that will increase your efficiency and quality so much. Then you just schedule all of the other tasks that need less discipline and focus to the times in which you're more sluggish and tired. Easy. Here are your to-dos for this section. You are going to first start just evaluating and watching when your energy levels peak and wane. Just keep track of this. You could very well just be an evening person. You don't have to be part of the 5 a.m. club to be productive. After you have a good grip of that, start aligning some of your hardest tasks and most challenging tasks to those very high peak energy times. Let the chiller tasks fall to the times in which you have low energy and see how that feels. And keep working and adjusting your schedule to identify, is this really my peak time? Is this when I have the most energy? As a woman, sometimes our cycles will affect our energy levels. So you can even look at that, how it changes through the month. Be very, very aware and intentional about when you're doing specific tasks, not just about getting all of those tasks done. Because I guarantee when you are able to align them to your actual energy level, levels, you'll be able to see way more results for the things that are hard to do. My very last tip is to set time limits. And this comes from Parkinson's law, which is basically that work fills the time it's given. The theory is if you give yourself more time, you will use less effort over that period of time versus if you give yourself less time, you will use a higher concentration of effort over a shorter duration. Think about any time you've procrastinated on something and the day it's due, you just crank, and you probably produce, 80% or more what you would have produced if you had started earlier. It's just that you force yourself to give a higher concentration of effort during that shorter period of time to meet the deadline. Give yourself deadlines because they will create urgency in you to get the task at hand completed with a higher level of work. How I do this on a daily basis that you can too is I always set timers. I typically use the Pomodoro technique, which is 25 minutes deep work focused on one thing and then 5 minutes off and break. And that helps me a lot. It helps me just crank stuff out really, really fast. And I try and race against the clock. For me, I personally rather crank something out really fast in, an hour versus doing it leisurely here and there for 3 hours, being on my phone for half the time and, checking emails the other half, because then I can do an hour of work, 2 hours of rest versus 3 hours of half-assing work. Always set time limits for yourself, whether it's a physical clock or a deadline, and make sure you hold yourself accountable to them. All right. So those were the 6 tips to help you be more effective with your time and make time for everything that you want in life. I'm going to do a really quick recap before we wrap. I have all my notes here, so I'm just going to read through them. First tip is to implement the 80-20 rule, also known as the Pareto principle. Roughly 80% of consequences come from 20% of causes. What you're going to actually do is you're going to look at your life right now and you're going to ask yourself 3 questions. Number 1, what 20% of sources are resulting in 80% of your desired outcomes and happiness? Number 2, what 20% of sources are causing 80% of your problems and unhappiness? And number 3, if I could only physically work 2 hours a day, what tasks would I do? Those will help you understand what things you need to start prioritizing and eliminating from your life. Tip number 2 is to automate everything. And what this means is to streamline and optimize your repetitive and time-consuming tasks. This will allow you to focus on higher value activities. You're going to create habits and systems for everything that you repeat, whether it's self-care, workouts, etc. Your homework is to 1, identify the top 3 tasks you perform daily that have a significant impact on your life. 2, for each task, write down a simple, repeatable process that you can do very, very easily. Number 3, see where you can automate, which means implementing tools, systems, or templates to make sure that this process is actually streamlined and the most optimal it can be. Tip number 3 is to use AI. ChatGPT. You can use it for literally anything, okay? Draft your emails, brainstorm ideas, manage your schedule, do research, do summaries, write your meal prep schedule, help you be more articulate, etc. Invest some initial time to actually learning it so that you can be the best at prompting it and knowing how to get the results that you want. Number 4 is to batch tasks. So what this is group similar tasks and complete them all in the same dedicated time block rather than spreading them out. How you're going to do this is you're going to be very perceptive to what tasks your brain groups together and when context switching may occur. What works best for you? And then start grouping those like tasks and bang them out in one go. Number 5 is energy management. So this is where you have to start aligning your hardest, most challenging tasks to your peak energy levels. You're going to 1, identify your peak energy times, 2, match your tasks to your energy levels. And number 3, adjust your schedule accordingly. Number 6 is to set time limits. Work fills the time it's given. So start setting timers and use the Pomodoro technique to make sure that you're creating a sense of urgency when completing your tasks. That is all I had for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope these tips resonated with you. If you have any time management, energy management, productivity tips that you want to share with me below, I'm always looking for new tips and tricks. So drop me a comment down below. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you in the next one.